Hi, I'm Alex, welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. So in today's video we're talking about Hihg Tide and specifically its announced acquisition of Bless CBD, a leading UK based CBD retailer, and also some news out of Ontario that there is a potential bill being debated which will permit delivery and the roadside pickup of cannabis products. Now there are some additional facets to this acquisition of Bless CBD which make this particularly interesting. As always in these videos, we won't just cover what the press releases are saying here and what you can read for yourself. We will also address what this means for investors and whether or not this is good news. Before we get into it, please smash the like button. We don't do clickbait or clickbaity content on the channel here, and so when you do smash the like button, it's really helpful for the channel, encouraging the YouTube algorithm to share the video to a wider audience. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to see more exclusive content like our Patreon-only video series where you can learn how to become a better investor based on what professional investors are doing, as well as the private Discord chat, then check out the Patreon group. As always, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only, but let's get straight into it. So last week, Hihg Tide announced that it would be expanding its presence in the UK market through its acquisition of Blessed CBD. As somebody who lives in the UK, it's a brand I recognise, and although I'm yet to try any of their product yet, I'll be sure to put this right soon. Bless CBD is a leading player in the UK market and it operates an asset-light, e-commerce focused model. Think of this like the UK version of Fab CBD, a recent acquisition which Hihg Tide made in the US. Now the company was founded 2 years ago and for the last 12-month period it's generated revenues of £5.1 million and EBITDA of £2.8 million. Based on the current GBP to USD exchange rate, that's around 1.36. So basically that's saying $7 million of revenue and just under $4 million of EBITDA. Hihg Tide is acquiring 80% of the company with an option to acquire the remaining 20% on pre-agreed terms. The deal implies an enterprise value of £11.3 million, which implies a valuation of around 4 times EBITDA generated over the last 12 months. On a revenue basis, on the same previous 12 months, the last 12 months basis, that's a 2.2 times multiple. Now I say this in every video when I talk about them doing a new acquisition, but this is amazing. There's a massive amount of multiple arbitrage here, and that is creating a massive amount of shareholder value just through multiple arbitrage alone. As a reminder, on a trailing 12-month basis, Hihg Tide itself is trading around 85 times EBITDA. The difference between what they've paid for this EBITDA, being 4 times, and what Hihg Tide is currently valued at, being 85 times, is the value that's created when that acquired EBITDA is consolidated into the overall group. And that ultimately is what multiple arbitrage and value creation through multiple arbitrage is. Now this is not just something which I'm saying. In their recent analyst note, Echelon was saying the same thing. It's something which experienced and institutional investors completely understand. It's a concept which is well understood. However, oftentimes retail investors don't understand it and don't get it in the same way. And I think partly this is a reason for some of the growing discontent among a small part of the retail investors in Hihg Tide. Hihg Tide was never a get-rich-quick scheme. If you thought this was going to turn your $100,000 investment into $1 million overnight, then I'm afraid you're mistaken. It's a long-term investment and we need to wait and see this deal complete to be integrated into the group and to add to the overall business profile of Hihg Tide. Strategically, it's a great deal. Hihg Tide already has some presence in the UK through Grass City and other brands and other businesses, but this is its first pure-play UK brand focused on CBD. The UK CBD market is exploding in the same way that the market is globally, so having a slice of this pie is great news. It also puts Hihg Tide in a great position too to capitalise on further opportunities in the UK as and when cannabis becomes legalised here too. Now, whilst it might not be as high on the political agenda as it is, say, in the US, in the UK, we are facing similar issues with unprecedented levels of government borrowing and the increasing need to increase taxation to pay this back. Income tax levels are already much higher in the UK than they are in the US, and politically the move of legalising and taxing cannabis would be a lot more palatable than one of increasing tax rate further. Now the other dynamic about the UK CBD market which is particularly interesting is some recent regulatory changes which have made the market more attractive. Now in very simplistic terms, new brands have been restricted from being able to sell products to customers, with them being required instead to apply with the Food Standards Agency as a novel food product to be able to sell their product to the public. Only businesses with a product in the market by March 2021 will be allowed to continue operating for the time being, and clearly Bless CBD being one of those players. Now based on the current number of applications made and the speed with which those are being approving, this is looking like it will take new products several years to become approved. Now this clearly creates an exciting dynamic where Bless CBD is able to operate with much more limited competition and capture more of the market share in this period of time. What's more is that whilst Bless CBD is in this position, it's also in the latter stages of gaining approval from its manufacturing partners and affiliates, which then in turn will enable Fab CBD products from the Hihg Tide umbrella to be sold in the UK as well. Now this is an exciting development, and Bless CBD now acts as a good platform for Hihg Tide to make more UK acquisitions, and it's also a good indicator of the potential further M&A internationally which the company is able to execute upon. Now the other development at Hihg Tide which is worth touching on is the news from Ontario, which forms part of the Supporting People and Businesses Act. If passed, this will enable cannabis retailers to continue providing delivery services and road pickup services of cannabis products. Now ultimately this is something which was enabled during the COVID lockdown periods to enable them to continue operating, but the proposal now would be to allow them to continue this on a permanent basis. Let's see how this develops, but clearly this would be great news for Hihg Tides and also other players with scale who can offer this service most effectively. Independents are likely to be the ones that struggle most here, so if this does get approved, it will most likely drive further consolidation in the market, which for the current leading players, namely Hihg Tide in this situation, that will be very positive news. So in summary, I'm really pleased with the Bless CBD deal. You can't argue with those financial metrics. They've acquired a well-positioned business at a fantastic valuation and with a really compelling strategic rationale, which is immediately accretive to shareholder value. As always, be patient. Everything is going to plan on the basis of the operational delivery. The stock price performance has been somewhat disappointing over the last month, but it's rarely a linear story from entry to exit when playing in on a thesis-led investment like Hihg Tide is. The other important point to keep in mind here is that it's the performance relative to the broader sector which is important. Hihg Tide is outperforming, and so this will be extremely positive news for investors when the sector sentiment shifts to being more positive for the cannabis sector. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and check out the Patreon for more investing related content. As always, please let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I find it so interesting to hear all the different perspectives and opinions, so please get involved. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another video.